ABC 10 News starts now with breaking news.
Officers from around the city swarmed the Las Americas outlet mall near the border tonight after a man was shot and killed by a Border Patrol agent. Good evening. I'm Kimberly Hunt.
And I'm Steve Atkinson. Our ABC 10 News reporter Laura Acevedo joins us live from the scene with what we know so far. Laura.
Yeah, and within the last hour, we did get an update from San Diego police. They are the lead agency in this investigation. This investigation expected to go well into the night. As mentioned, we do know the person shot by the Border Patrol agent has died. Now, this happened behind the Las Americas Premium Outlets, which is right up against the border. Late tonight, the San Diego Sector Chief Patrol agent also sharing this video on social media, reading a statement about what happened. According to the chief, the shooting happened at around 5:45. San Diego police say the shooting took place in an area that is considered federal property, not open to the public, an area where agents routinely patrol between both border walls. The San Diego police homicide detective says this started as an altercation between a male agent and a man who was on that federal property. The agent fired at least one shot. Police say they have identified the man that was killed but did not release his name, only saying he was a non-U.S. citizen. SDPD wouldn't say if he was armed or if he was a suspect in a crime. Now, police say this area does have surveillance video, and they are going to be taking a look at that and also speaking to witnesses. They say the agent was not seriously injured. Again, they are saying this is very early in the investigation right now, and they expect to release more information once it becomes available. Reporting live in San Isidro, Laura Acevedo, ABC 10 News.
There was a yellow plane that had come in like this into the actual field and landed.
Witnesses described watching a mid-air emergency unfold. A pilot was forced to land his plane just feet from an East County elementary school. ABC 10 News reporter Anthony Pura talked to witnesses amazed the plane made it down safely.
The gate to the field and playground is locked up now, but the plane is behind this fence. The pilot landed it in an area the size of a football field. It's not only next to an elementary school, but it's surrounded by buildings, homes, and power lines. From Sky 10, you can see the size of the field the small yellow plane had to land on and just how close it is to a school and playground. A wing on the plane was damaged after hitting a fence during the emergency landing.
I looked at my son and said, is there any special event going on? Because usually we would hear something that's going on. No, there was nothing. It was just a plane.
Amber Shima and her son live nearby. They watched as the plane maneuvered its way to the ground.
I didn't hear anything, like no motor or anything like that. The next thing I noticed was the gentleman popped out of the little cockpit.
The pilot didn't want to speak on camera, but told ABC 10 News he's been flying for decades. He had taken off from nearby Gillespie Field for a practice flight Friday. He flew for about an hour, but as he was getting ready to land at Gillespie around 4 p.m., his plane ran out of gas. The engine stopped, and he had to look for a safe place to touch down. He was able to glide safely onto this field. It's right next to W.D. Hall Elementary School on Pepper Drive in El Cajon. Witnesses say it was fortunate there was no one on the field at the time.
I commend him on doing a great job and not running any further into, the buildings or homes.
The plane will stay here overnight. It will be towed Saturday morning. In El Cajon, Anthony Pura, ABC 10 News.
Breaking news, one man is dead after a shooting near Chicano Park. This happened on National Avenue and Dewey Street just before 10 o'clock this evening. SDPD is now investigating it as a homicide. No word on any suspects.
And more breaking news now. 2 people are in custody after reports of a stolen car led police on a chase in Pacific Beach. San Diego police responded to the call before 9 and then started that chase when they found the car. That car eventually, as you can see, crashed into that hydrant at Oliver Avenue in Gresham. No one was hurt. And we have an update to that breaking news we brought you earlier tonight. 2 members of the Navy are dead after their training plane crashed in Alabama today. The plane went down in a town called Foley, just west of Pensacola, Florida. The plane flew out of Naval Air Station Whiting, northeast of Pensacola. The Navy says the 2 crew members killed in the crash were the only ones on board. Their names have not yet been released.
Health experts say the coronavirus in the U.S. is headed in the wrong direction going into winter. Right now, much of the country is seeing a rise in cases and hospitalizations. More than 83,000 new COVID cases were reported in the last day alone, and deaths have now topped 1,000 for 2 days straight. There is hope that the race for a vaccine is going well. AstraZeneca and Johnson & Johnson have restarted their phase 3 trials after both were paused because of medical complications in a volunteer participant. Going into the winter with these near record numbers has Dr. Anthony Fauci concerned. Back in August, he said we need to get down to 10,000 cases per day in the U.S. to have some control over the virus in the colder months. And now he is suggesting it may be time to mandate masks at the federal level.
I think that would be a great idea, to have everybody do it uniformly. One of the issues, though, I get the argument, say, well, if you mandate a mask, then you're going to have to enforce it, and that'll create more of a problem. Well, if people are not wearing masks, then maybe we should be mandating it.
New research shows universal mask wearing could save nearly 130,000 American lives through the end of February and reduce transmission of COVID-19 by roughly 40%.
San Diego State students are once again being urged to stay at home for all but essential services. But it's not because of a spike in coronavirus cases. Instead, the university is looking to prevent a spike from, Halloween parties. Students we spoke with say most people are generally following the rules, but they are skeptical. The new advisory won't have much impact.
I feel like it's a little bit divided between a lot of students. A lot of students like me who would rather stay inside. There's a lot of students who need that social interaction, and they kind of go outside and go talk to people and all that.
Of the more than 1,200 cases at San Diego State, only a fraction has come in recent weeks. The university says it has sent out nearly 900 notices for COVID-19 policy violations, mostly for off-campus gatherings. And here are the local coronavirus numbers for tonight. The county announced another 430 cases today. That brings our total to nearly 54,000. There was one new death, bringing that total to 867.
With Election Day now only 11 days away, both President Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden were back on the campaign trail today after last night's debate. Trump held 2 rallies in the battleground state of Florida, while Biden talked about the pandemic in Delaware.
We're not entering a dark winter. We're entering the final turn and approaching the light at the end of the tunnel.
I'll ask the new Congress to put a bill on my desk by the end of January with all the resources necessary to see how both our public health and our economic response can be seen through the end.
And after 3 federal stimulus packages totaling trillions, the talks between the administration and the Democrats have stalled on another round. The final campaigning for the candidates comes as a record 52 million Americans have already voted, according to the U.S. Elections Project. Prosecutors will take another shot at giving the death penalty to San Diego native Scott Peterson. Peterson was convicted for the 2002 murder of his wife and unborn son. The state Supreme Court overturned his death sentence back in August. Now prosecutors will try again. And Peterson's family tells ABC 10 News reporter Michael Chen they're surprised.
La Jolla 2003. His hair dyed blonde. Scott Peterson arrested in front of Torrey Pines Golf Course in the disappearance of his pregnant wife, Lacey Peterson. The body of Lacey discovered days before along San Francisco Bay. The disappearance drew national headlines, and so did the eventual murder trial.
Scott Lee Peterson guilty.
Peterson found guilty of murder and sentenced to death. More than 15 years later, the state Supreme Court in August overturned the death sentence. The court ruling potential jurors for the death penalty phase were improperly dismissed by the judge after they said they disagreed with the death penalty but would be willing to impose it. Peterson's sister-in-law, Janie Peterson, who lives in the San Diego area, described the reaction of his family, which has maintained his innocence since the beginning.
I don't think we realized what a relief it would be till it actually happened. When you realize that, they're not going to stick a needle in his arm, there was definitely a sense of relief that came with that.
Prosecutors announced their intention to retry the penalty phase. And 2 months later, during a remote hearing in Modesto, with Peterson attending via video, prosecutors announced their intention to retry the penalty phase.
We were a little surprised because, fiscally, it's an expensive thing to do, and or that they're going to go through with the penalty phase. It surprised me.
She says despite the surprise, they are ready for what lies ahead.
We're not afraid to go back into court, and we're ready to go back into court.
Michael Chen, ABC 10 News.
And there's another big wrinkle in this case. Peterson's entire conviction could be thrown out. Last week, the state Supreme Court granted a review of his conviction because a juror failed to disclose that she had once been a victim of a crime while pregnant. Prosecutors must file a brief by mid-November before a judge decides if Peterson gets a new trial. Until that happens, the death penalty question is expected to be put on hold.